Hi guys, welcome to this video. This is a passage analysis video. I am Prashant. I'm the founder of Word Pandit, and what I'm doing here is I'm analyzing all CAT 2017 RC passages. This is a passage which is based on electric vehicles and how transportation is changing. So we'll go through this passage para-wise, pick up the important points, and we'll try to come up with the things, the points that you guys should extract out of this passage by the time you end up reading it, right? Now let's get started. The end of the age of the internal combustion engine is in sight. So the internal combustion engine is symbolic of what here? It is symbolic of the traditional way in which the transportation sector works, your diesel and petrol cars, trucks, etc., etc. There are small signs everywhere. The shift to hybrid vehicles is already underway among manufacturers. Now he's going to give us examples of this shift. Volvo has announced it will make no purely petrol engine cars after 2019. Tesla has just started selling its first electric car aimed squarely at the middle class. The Tesla 3 sells at $35,000 in the US, and 4 lakh people have put down a small refundable deposit towards one. Several thousand have taken delivery, and the company hopes to sell 500,000 more next year. This is a remarkable figure for a machine with a fairly short range and a limited number of specialized charging stations. Now, in this particular case, these are the handicaps for this particular vehicle, right? And the author is trying to highlight that despite these handicaps, this car is selling. Some of it reflects the remarkable abilities of Elon Musk, the company's founder, as a salesman, engineer, and man able to get the most out of his factory workers and the governments he deals with. Mr. Musk is selling a dream that the world wants to believe in. This is the dream of electric vehicles which is being talked about. So these are the positive qualities of Elon Musk which have been highlighted here. The last may be the most important factor in the story. The last is what? The dream. The private vehicle is a device of immense practical help and economic significance. So these are two important points, but at the same time a theater for myths of unattainable self-fulfillment. So what does the private car function as? It functions as something which helps you gain self-fulfillment, right? At the same time a theater for myths of unattainable self-fulfillment. So things that you cannot attain, you believe you cannot attain. When you own a private vehicle, you get these feelings of fulfillment. The one thing you will never see in a car advertisement is traffic, even though it is an element in which drivers spend their lives. Every single driver in a traffic jam is trying to escape from it, yet it is the inevitable consequence of mass car ownership. Pretty understandable, right? That you do not want to get into jams, you want to avoid them. But the moment you buy a private vehicle, you contribute to traffic jams, right? So mass car ownership leads to it. The sleek and swift electric car is at one level merely the most contemporary fantasy of autonomy and power. So the electric car now in the present times is a symbol of autonomy and power, but it might also disrupt our exterior landscapes nearly as much as the fossil fuel engine car did in the last century. Electric cars would of course pollute less than fossil fuel driven ones. Instead of oil reserves, the rarest materials for batteries would make undeserving despots and the dynasties fantastically rich. So for example, batteries use a lot of lead. Countries which are rich in lead, they would get rich, right? So that would become the new oil. Petrol stations would disappear. The air in cities would be once more breathable and the streets as quiet as those of Venice. This isn't an unmixed good, right? Cars that were as silent as bicycles would still be as dangerous as they are now to hit as anyone they hit without audible warning. So he's saying this is not only good, right? You don't imagine that this is unadulterated. There are going to be no negatives. People are still going to get hit. Cars hit people. So there are accidents are going to take place. That's what he wants to say. Now this paragraph overall says something very interesting, right? It starts off with the fact that the electric car is now a symbol of personal autonomy, power, but it's also going to have an impact on exterior landscape. So the positives electric vehicles are going to have on the landscape, right? External landscapes, that's reflected by this paragraph. The dream goes further than that. The dream is what? The dream of electric vehicles. The electric cars of the future will be so thoroughly equipped with sensors, reaction mechanisms that they will never hit anyone, just as brakes don't let you skid today. The steering wheel of tomorrow will swerve you away from danger before you've even noticed it. So this goes on to explain this. There was this negative that he highlighted in the last line, that cars can hit people. This is the solution for it, even though it's in the future. This is where the fantasy of autonomy comes full circle. The logical outcome of cars which need no drivers is that they will become cars which need no owner either. So this is where he extends the logic further. Now you've moved on. Remember, you started off with the electric car as being a symbol of autonomy and power. Then you wanted cars that are self-driven, that drive themselves. The moment you do so, the fantasy of autonomy will come a full circle. That means you will actually not be autonomous anymore. What will happen, the logical outcome of cars is that since they don't need a driver, they don't need an owner either. Instead, they will work as taxis do, summon at will, but only for the journeys we actually need. The future is towards Uber, the future towards which Uber is working. The ultimate development of the private car will be to reinvent public transport. So obviously, if things like Uber, if companies like Ubers, they take over, right, mass transport facilities, right, that we have, everything is going to change. Traffic jams will be abolished only when the private car becomes a public utility. What then will happen to our fantasies of independence? We'll all have to take to electrically powered bicycles. So if you still need to feel that autonomy, what will you shift to? You will shift to electrically powered bicycles. So if you look at it overall, from an overall perspective, what the passage is about, the passage is about the journey of the electric vehicle, the kind of journey it is undergoing, how it has come to dominate the transport sector as of now. The electric vehicles are dominating the vehicles market, right? And even if we can't say the word dominate, they are beginning to make their presence felt, and we are moving towards a future where they are going to dominate. And what is going to happen in the future, right? The transformations that are going to take place in public and public transport, private ownership of vehicles, so on and so forth, are all discussed. The perspective that the author has maintained here is that of electric vehicles and how they impact the world. So that is the overall perspective of the passage. These are the things that you derive out of this passage. Hopefully so you've understood the most important pointers, you've understood the different lines, extracts of this passage, and this passage analysis video has helped you. This is Prashant signing off. Thank you very much for watching this video, and as always, happy learning.